Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. Okay, we are jumping right in today because we're looking at something that is absolutely going to shift your perspective on what it actually means to be successful. We're unpacking a really fascinating core premise. The people who look the absolute richest in our society, yeah, they're often completely broke.
So, think about this for a second. What if the wealthiest people are actually invisible? It's kind of a wild thought, right? But the reality is, real millionaires don't usually stand out. They just blend right in. They're the ones driving a 10-year-old Toyota and pushing a cart through Costco, just flying completely under the radar. Because honestly, let's dive into this. That person you see flashing the luxury car, the designer clothes, posting those expensive European vacations all over your feed. Most of the time, they are just drowning in debt, desperately trying to hide their actual financial reality. So, in this explainer, we're going to explore 5 ancient, incredibly quiet strategies for building massive wealth entirely out of sight, straight from our source material. All right, strategy number 1, the farmer's patience. This is all about persistence over instant gratification.
Listen, I have to share a tough truth right up front. Most people fail to build wealth simply because they give up right before the magic happens. Imagine 2 farmers, okay? First, we have instant gratification Gary. He plants his seeds, and by day 30, when he doesn't have this massive booming harvest, he gets super frustrated, digs them up, and just quits. He's totally operating on that social media-style dopamine loop. But then you have patient Pete. He plants his seeds and just consistently waters the dirt, even when those seeds are entirely invisible, because he knows that wealth works on nature's timeline, not an algorithm's timeline.
Let's see how this actually builds over time. By day 3, there is absolutely nothing visible. By day 15, maybe, just maybe, you see some tiny sprouts. Year 2, okay, you're getting a better harvest. But by year 5, unstoppable abundance. You see, the compound effect is completely invisible for years before it suddenly just goes exponential. Your first investments, or that first business you start, it's going to feel incredibly slow and boring. But that is exactly when most people quit.
And check out this number, 99%. Let that sink in for a second. Warren Buffett, literally the richest investor in history, made 99% of his incredible wealth after the age of 50. For the whole first half of his career, his wealth was just a tiny fraction of what it is today. Because compound growth starts out incredibly slow before it completely explodes.
Moving on to number 2, the merchant's sacrifice, the true price of financial freedom.
Now, I want to ask you a direct question. You want the wealthy lifestyle? Sure, we all do. But what are you truly willing to give up to get there? Let's look at ancient merchants preparing for trading season. Our weekend warrior decides he has plenty of time. He sleeps in, relaxes on Sundays, tells himself he really deserves a good work-life balance. But Sacrifice Sam? Oh, he's spending his weekends studying markets, visiting workshops, traveling out to suppliers. So when trading season actually hits, the weekend warrior only has generic goods. Meanwhile, Sam absolutely dominates the market because of his hidden, totally unglamorous behind-the-scenes preparations.
Let's break down the brutal modern math on this sacrifice. 10,000 hours. If you sacrifice 20 hours a week for 10 years, we're talking giving up those weekend Netflix binges, skipping the happy hours, that equals 10,000 hours of intensely focused wealth building. Compare that to 10,000 hours of just scrolling social media. Essentially, every wealthy person gave up their 20s and 30s so they could entirely own their 40s and beyond.
All right, our third archetype, the builder's silence, protecting your dreams from poison. This is a really uncomfortable reality, but sharing your big ideas with the wrong people, it usually kills the dream before it even starts. Tell everyone Tom over here shares his grand blueprints with literally anyone who will listen. And what happens? He gets hit with these tiny poison darts, criticism, doubt, people telling him he's way too ambitious. He starts second-guessing himself and boom, he quits. His dream was unconsciously shrunk down to fit his peers' comfort levels. Meanwhile, Silent Steve studies secretly, builds relationships quietly, and tells absolutely no one until his grand vision is entirely completed. Now, what's really fascinating here is the devastating psychological research backing this up. When your action is announcing your goals, the reaction in your brain is actually a premature dopamine hit. Your brain literally gets tricked into feeling like it already achieved the goal just from the external praise, and that causes a severe decrease in your motivation to do the actual work. But when your action is staying silent, your reaction is a sustained, powerful drive to execute.
Strategy 4, the invisible crown, substance over show. Let's look at 2 ancient kings.
Flashy Frank spends all of his inheritance on elaborate appearances. We're talking golden robes, massive feasts just to make sure everyone knows he's rich. And because of this, his kingdom secretly goes broke. But humble Henry? He inherits the exact same wealth, but he invests quietly, wears simple clothes, and lives modestly. Frank's desperate need to perform his wealth destroyed his kingdom, while Henry used the exact same funds to generate real power and lasting infrastructure.
And here is a mind-bending modern paradox for you. The guy in the beat-up Honda Civic might actually be far richer than the person pulling up in the brand-new BMW. Let's look at the staggering opportunity cost here. $1.2 million. If you take an $800 monthly leased BMW payment and invest it at an 8% annual return instead, that becomes $1.2 million over 30 years. When you pay for the BMW, you get nothing but a depreciating asset. Every single dollar you spend on looking wealthy is a dollar that literally cannot work to actually make you wealthy.
True wealth whispers, while fake wealth screams. This is the core lesson of this entire explainer. The people who are incredibly insecure about their financial status, they're the ones spending money to prove they have it. But true wealth, the ultimate luxury in life, is never needing to impress anyone at all.
And finally, we reach our fifth fable, the monk's discipline, the power of disappearing.
I've got to warn you, this final trick is arguably the hardest one to pull off today because it requires you to actively step away from our modern, performative online hustle culture. Take a look at two monks seeking inner wealth. Attention Andy is absolutely obsessed with being seen meditating. He wants praise for his spiritual journey. He's constantly seeking external validation from his masters and peers. But Silent Sam? He just disappears into deep practice for 5 years. No updates, no seeking praise, and guess who achieves enlightenment? Massive breakthroughs happen in the shadows, not in the spotlight of social media validation.
It boils down to this really simple truth. Every minute you spend posting about the hustle is a minute you are literally not hustling. The wealthiest people out there, they are ghosts online. They aren't broadcasting their morning routines or their big investment wins. They are using all that energy for pure execution. They've traded the performance art of looking busy for the quiet, delayed gratification of actual compound growth.
So bringing it all together, the crucial point is that this ancient blueprint is what separates the true generational wealth builders from those who are just trying to look successful. It takes the farmer's patience to persist, the merchant's sacrifice to pay the price of freedom, the builder's silence to protect your dreams, the invisible crown to choose substance over show, and finally, the monk's discipline to just disappear into your work. I want to leave you with this final, provocative thought. Will you keep performing your struggle for an audience, or will you start actually building your empire? I challenge you today to pick just one of these disciplines and commit to it completely. Go dark online, make a real sacrifice, or maybe just keep your next big idea entirely to yourself. Because remember, the world ultimately belongs to those who work in the shadows and emerge in the light.